Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art.
Welcome to the Sunshine Sisters podcast. We're glad to have you here with us today.
Yes, we're so excited that you are here. We're first going to talk about our sunshiny moments this last week. Please let us know what yours are because we would love to know. For those who are here for the first time, a sunshiny moment is basically a tender mercy or moment you notice from the last week where the Lord just shone his light down upon you and you felt it in a strong, loving way. So first, Kylie, I would love to hear your sunshiny moment from the week.
Of course. Yes, I would love to share my little moment with you today. I have a backstory just to lead into my sunshiny moment so it makes more sense. Basically, I was experiencing a big burnout with my work. And I love my job. It's honestly a great job and I work with great people. I just feel like it got to a point where I started prioritizing it too much and I was focusing and thinking a lot about my job. And although my job is good, I just realized it started to affect my relationships with like my husband first off, and also with myself. I just think I was prioritizing things wrong for a while and focusing on my job too much was bringing me a lot of anxiety and just it was hard to be present in the moment because I was always thinking ahead. And so just after a while, I felt bad because my husband started to feel a little neglected and just like all I could talk and think about was my work and my job. And like I said, it took a toll on me too. And so I was determined to make some changes and in actually the beginning of this month, I changed my work schedule up a little bit. And I also really tried to prioritize other things first, like my husband and of course the Lord, and also taking care of myself too. And I found it's been making a big difference. Like those little changes have helped so much. And just yesterday, Spencer was talking to me, my husband, and he said, Kylie, you made me feel so loved this week. Like, thanks for all that you do. And I've seen you really step it up. And that meant a lot to me. I was like, wow, I'm changing. I'm growing. Like, I'm becoming better. And it just, I don't know, it just meant a lot to me. And I just feel like as a society sometimes you hear a lot of the phrases such as, just be you, don't change, be who you are. And yes, we all have special qualities we bring to the table, but, we can't just be who we are. We can't just not change, because if I'm not changing, then I'm not progressing. And I want to progress, and I want to become more like my Savior. And I know I won't ever be perfect, but it's so awesome. Maybe at first it takes a bit of humility to recognize that there are changes that need to be made. And maybe sometimes it's hard to not get defensive about it, you know? I know a lot of us can have a hard time with that, including myself at times. And so I have to remind myself in the end, it's so worth it. And it's really a beautiful feeling to change. And so that was just my little sunshiny moment.
I really, really liked your experience because I think a lot of us can resonate with that, especially when you said that the world will tell us that we maybe don't need to change anything about ourselves, but in God's perspective and in His plan, he does have things he needs us to change, and he wants us to change to be better for others and for him and for ourselves. And I really believe that we become the best versions of ourselves for our relationships. Like, we do the things we do so we can connect with other people, so we can connect with God. We take care of ourselves so that way we can put our spirits in a good place to hear the Lord. We take care of ourselves and do all we can to find joy in our lives, in order to show up as the best version of yourself for other people and for your marriage and for your friends and for your family and for the people you've yet to meet.
That is so true. That is so true. So you don't want to be stagnant, you know? We want to keep going upward. And what you said, Sabrina, you said we change for our relationships. And yeah, it definitely it plays a role a lot. When we change and better ourselves, we're just also gonna grow healthier in our relationships and also for ourselves too. It definitely benefits us and who we're becoming, you know, and our road back to our heavenly home and all of that. And what you said, it reminded me, I talked in church last Sunday and I got to talk about marriage and I'll just share just a few quick thoughts about some of the things I shared because this reminds me of what I talked about. So before Spencer and I got married, we went to counseling together just so we could have a couple like more tools to start our marriage off
I
right.
love that.
And
We all should
yeah.
do that. Every single one of
Oh.
us should be going and getting all the tools there is to have a good relationship.
Yeah, it's awesome. Counseling is amazing. Honestly, we all can benefit from it.
Yes, yes.
Whatever our situation is in life. And it was awesome. I learned so much. And one of my biggest takeaways when we went is our counselor said, rather than focusing on falling in love together, focus on growing in love together. And that's been our motto for our marriage is growing in
Wow.
love together. And that's been a very powerful statement on
Yeah.
what love should be. I'm such a romantic, and so I just love romantic things.
Same. I love me a rom-com.
I know, me too. It's just so fun. And I always loved the phrase falling in love, and it just, you know, was just such a magical saying. And, you know, my dream was to fall in love with a special someone one day. And I did fall in love with Spencer, and it was quite easy, might I say. If you think about it, it's very easy to fall in love with things, whether that's a favorite book, whether it's a favorite movie, or, I don't know, chocolate or something. You know, it could be anything. Growing in love, on the other hand, takes a lot of effort and time, but so rewarding in the end. And so I always like to say falling in love is easy, but growing in love is everything. And so that's just something I feel like we can apply to every relationship, not just marriages, but also growing in love with the Lord and growing in love with ourselves. And, you know, it's just something that's really helped us in our relationship together.
Oh,
So,
that's awesome.
Mhm.
I so agree that I think relationships are effort. And I think, like you've heard the quote, like the Lord loves effort. And so does everybody. Everyone loves effort. I love when I notice people putting an effort into making me feel important. Or yeah, that's seriously what a relationship is making someone feel important and seen. And we all need that. And so I think that is such a perfect way of saying growing in love. That's putting in the effort. That's showing up for each other. That's when someone is bothered or needing something or struggling, that you put in the effort to be there and you change things that you need to you make sacrifices, because sacrifice is totally necessary, and that has to happen. Like, I think it's, I think it, people will struggle a lot if they decide they shouldn't make sacrifices in relationships because they need to put themselves first. And that's
I
just going to
love
make you really
that.
unhappy in the end because connection, like we've talked about before, that's what brings us together. That's what creates the most joy.
Just a quick thing about relationships, and I hope I can explain this right. But when Sabrina and I talk about like changing ourselves for relationships, we definitely mean in the relationships that are healthy and are gonna go somewhere. Because
True.
I don't know, I think it's just important to just keep that in mind because there definitely are relationships out there that are toxic and we just, I think what we're trying to express is giving effort into the relationships that are going to help us become better for the right reasons. And so,
Yes.
anyway, I just wanted to point that out. But
That's a very that's a very good clarification. And I think a really big way to know if it's a healthy relationship or a safe relationship is if the other person is reciprocating that too.
Mhm.
And I mean, I've been in relationships before, not just romantic relationships, but family or friends where it wasn't that. And you have to step away from that. So that way, not just are you protecting yourself, you're keeping yourself in a healthy place, and you can go and connect with someone that is willing and ready to receive you, and you can grow with instead.
Yeah.
And gain more and more of those relationships that just fuel you and bring you close to God. So that
Oh
was
my
very well
gosh.
said.
Yes, you're right. We do. We need to grow in places that are going to fuel us. Like, just like an actual flower, it needs the right
Yes!
sources to grow. So if we don't have those things, then it's maybe not the safest soil to be in.
To care for the year.
Sabrina, we need to hear your sunshiny moment as well.
Yes, I will share. My sunshiny moment, I feel like, was more of um I feel like God was really shining his light on me through this last week, and I noticed what he was trying to teach me and the little like moments where he was like, trust me, like I love you, I'm here for you, and guiding me to the answers that I've been seeking for. um, I've been listening to a couple different podcasts. I love a couple different Christian podcasts and the Comeback podcast. If anyone's listened to that, it's so uplifting and I love their stories. Um, but something that had popped out to me in one of these podcasts that I was listening to was someone was talking about a secret place. Um, and there was another podcast called Secret Place, and it reminded me of a couple years ago I had watched the movie War Room. Have you ever seen the movie War Room before?
No, I haven't. Not yet.
It is a powerful movie. And my neighbor gave it to me on DVD, and I watched it, and it inspired me then to create this war room, which it's basically like a sanctuary where, like a closet or something in your house where you pray, where you connect with God, where it's like your protection from the world. And I've done this in the past, and like last year, I think I made my closet into my war room or my secret place. And I like had a board where I would put like different prayers on it, or like things I was praying for, or pictures of Christ, or just things going on in my life or something. And I would look at it and I'd pray in there, and I would have like a little candle or something, like just made it a very sanctuary place. And I was reminded of that this week. And so I decided to make another one. And so I think it was just the other day I went into, we have a spare closet that's not being used for very much. And I saw that I have a bunch of these pictures from calendars that I had collected for a long time. I used to put them up in my room. And I've had a bunch of new calendars from Deseret Book. And I was like, oh my gosh, I should cut these all out and put them all over. And so I'm working on that right now, but like the moments that I've been in that room and felt just this connection, even as I've been praying for specific things, it has been so reassuring to just be close to the Spirit. I just know that the Lord is dwelling with me in that room because He knows that I want to, and I'm dedicating that time for it. Um, and it's like the closest I can get to getting to the temple. It's like I am close to the Lord. No matter what I'm praying for, I know He hears me because this is my place I go to. And I'm surrounded by Jesus. Like it just, I got so much to uplift me. And so that's just been like the most like light filling thing for my week that I want to implement continually is always going to my secret place, always going there to connect with the Lord and having that just light pour on me, even when I don't have the answers to my prayers. Like, then He shows it to me after I've prayed about it. Like, even today when I was talking to Kylie, like, I was sharing some things I was praying about, and the answers came as we were conversing together. I was like, oh my gosh, there He is. He's just doing His great, powerful thing, making me feel loved and stuff. So I love Him. He's really great to me. Love the Lord.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thanks for sharing your moment with us. I think that's very powerful and something we can all learn from. I had some thoughts about creating holy places because you said you created a holy place, and it made me realize that I can make holy places too, and how we can create those. And I just think that's so cool that it's so possible to do so, whether that's in your closet or maybe in your room or an office or I don't know, maybe outside. I think it's different for everyone. But wow, I think that is super special. And you want to know what experience came to mind, Sabrina?
Share.
It was with you. We were on our mission and we were saying a prayer together. That's all I remember, as we were saying a prayer together, kneeling in our little living room in our apartment. I can't remember exactly what it was, why we decided to pray at that moment, what we even said, but I remember after we prayed and opened our eyes, we just looked at each other and just said, doesn't that just feel like heaven? Like there were angels around us. Do you remember that,
Of
Sabrina?
course I do. I think of that moment very often. It comes to my
Mm-hmm.
mind. And it was a very special and just faith building moment.
Mm-hmm. I think that's so neat. Just all we did was just kneel and pray together, and that was our holy moment. That was our holy
Mm-hmm.
place at the time. And I feel like prayer helps me feel like I'm in holy places, whether that's in my car on the way to work. I always like to say a prayer before I go to work. It just kind of gives me a peace of mind before I go in,
I love
or
that.
I don't know, just when I'm out and about, if I ever feel a sense of anxiousness inside of me about facing the world that day. Just saying a prayer wherever I am, it helps make wherever I'm standing a more holier place. So,
Yes. I love
mhm.
that. I love that thought. I used to kind of I was trying to understand my faith a little better and find ways to connect with God after like not feeling Him as close for a while. And I like dabbled in like meditation um and mindfulness. And I can say nothing compares to the feeling of taking a place or taking the time to make your moment holy and connecting with God. And even just asking for Jesus Christ to be with you, or asking for the Spirit to be with you, asking for God to pour His light on you, or just for your mind to be filled with light or peace. Nothing compares to the peace you feel doing that than any other meditation or mind numbing or dopamine rush or anything. Nothing compares to that feeling. that is, and I believe that that is the fruit that will make us happy, is the love of God that we feel. That is the love of God that we feel when we make our moments holy and when we pray. As much as we can connect with Him, the greater we will feel in our lives. I've seen it. I've been experiencing it after going through a time of maybe not experiencing it as much to now changing a lot of my habits. Like, just finding more of the Lord makes your life so just rich and peaceful and loving, no matter how hard it is. It feels so much better. It's so peaceful. It's wonderful. You want it all the time. Just make it a holy place.
Sabrina, what you said, that is the definition of stillness. The Lord teaches us to be still. And I think that is one of the most perfect examples of how to be still. Being still is hard in this world that has a lot of commotion and confusion.
Yes.
And just trouble going on. But it's possible. It's possible to be still and to find those moments. And you can take this how you will, but I just think this is an interesting thought. And I heard it somewhere from someone. Basically, whoever it was said that the adversary lives in the past and in the future, and the spirit lives in the present. And I think about that a lot sometimes because, for example, if we're ever feeling anxious, that usually has to do with the future, you'll find, because you're anticipating what's going to happen. If you feel depressed or regretful, a lot of times I find that has to do with the past and things that have already happened that are just kind of hard to get over. But I find when I'm feeling joy, most of the time it's happening when I'm being present, and that's where the Spirit dwells. So that's just a thought that popped into my head that I think about sometimes.
It's profound. And if we understood that and reminded ourselves of that more often, I think we would have a completely different perspective and we would make a lot of different choices and we would think differently. Because the way that we think changes the way that we feel, which then changes the way that we act. And so if we are thinking in the present moment and connecting with God, then we're going to feel Him and act upon that. And I was thinking when you're talking about being still and slowing down, doesn't that just make you want to sing the slow down?
Oh my gosh! Yes! I love that song. Sabrina, we need to put that on our list of
We
songs.
do. We used to listen to that all the time on our missions. It's beautiful. We're gonna sing that, actually.
We will. It's called Slow Down by Cecil? I don't know if I said that right. Cecil?
I think so.
If any of you know her, she has a very beautiful voice.
Yes.
And she sang it at Temple Square once. And we used to listen to it a lot on our mission.
Powerful.
Which, speaking of music, there will be songs coming. We have not made any songs yet, but they are coming, we promise.
we have a song for you next week. So you stay tuned to hear our song and we're going to talk about it. And we're going to continue to share our music cuz we love it. We think you will too.
And this is what brought us here in the first place, was music. And so we're excited to start sharing it with you very soon. So we hope you enjoy, and you'll have to let us know what you think and if you ever have any song recommendations for us.
Thank you everyone for joining the Sunshine Sisters podcast today. We look forward to having your faces and your ears listening next week. And be sure to let us know your sunshiny moment.
We'll see you then. Have a great and sunshiny day.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Then sings my soul, my Savior